another episode of The Man Space. Marcin and I are exceptionally excited and moved by the opportunity to meet with different gentlemen from different parts of the world every week to have an important conversation about how men feel, how men navigate their emotions, their challenges with the recognition of that feeling, and what support looks like for men, and what does it take to create a safe place and a space for men to come and be supported and support others. We see in our world today, we raise boys saying, don't feel, don't cry. Boys don't cry, boys don't deal with emotions, right? And then we raise men to become fathers and husbands and brothers and grandfathers and uncles. And then we blame them for not connecting with our feelings and not understanding our feelings. And for a lot of times, it is how we have set the stage up. We can't ask people to give something up and then blame them for not having it. So this conversation is truly not just for the men, but for all the women in the lives of the men. How do we partner and co-create an environment that is holistic wellness for men, and they feel supported, and we as women have supportive partners because we have shown up to support them from cradle to adulthood, right? So I am elated to have this conversation today with our special guest, somebody who's near and dear to my heart, Kunle Pelemo. Kunle is joining us from Nigeria. I've known him for a while now. Kunle and I do a lot of events and programs together. He focuses and dedicates his time to mental wellness and holistic health. And he works with men and women from around the world. He's an ambassador for goodwill, for kindness, for compassion, for basic human decency and goodness. And my friend and my hero, Kunle, welcome. Welcome to the Man Space.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kaz. As always, it's been another opportunity to join you in creating a wonderful conversation. Each time we have this opportunity, I know it's an opportunity to create long-lasting impact, positive impact, so to speak, in the world. So thank you for all you do as well. And thank you for that wonderful introduction about me. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. My pleasure. So as we get started on this conversation, Kunle, talk to us about what in your life journey gave you the impetus to choose mental health and holistic wellness, and why you have dedicated your adult life to serve this space tirelessly.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kaz and Marcin. It's good to be here once again. The mental health space started, it was as a result of someone who was close and then very near and dear to my heart, who I never knew was going through emotional issues and mental health related issues. And that will also address some of the things we are going to discuss in here today as part of the silent culture that is eminent and profound in our society these days. She was going through a lot and she never told anyone. And on the outside, she's the appetite. And she does a lot of things. She's industrious, she's highly talented, and you always see the smile in her, not knowing that she's going through mental health related issues, and she had even planned to take her life a day prior to when I just called to check on her. Normally what I do is to, reach out to some of my proteges, some of them who are, close to me. And that same way I reached out to her after work that day, because I used to work in a very busy industry in my country, the oil and gas downstream sector, before quitting that space in 2018. So when I reached out to her, I just put a call to, how are you doing? And the normal question, the normal answer that everyone comes up with flew out from her. I'm doing good. I'm fine. And everybody is fine. And that is what the space we are at conditioned us to saying over a period of time and time again. But I know that there is the ask twice strategy. This is the strategy that now goes beyond you just wanting to hear "I'm fine" from someone, but to show that you care. So I stopped a little bit and asked one more time, "Are you sure you're fine?" And that looked like, the last straw that broke the camel's back, and then that broke the ice in her, and she came out and told me that she was even planning to go take her life the next day because of a lot of things she's going through. To cut the long story short, that was how we went through, a lot of discussion about the whole situation. And I am glad she's alive, she's happy, she's well. That doesn't mean there won't be issues here and there, but she has the capacity to go over those issues and build resilience over a period of time. But it dawned on me that there are 1,001 people within my environment who are going through similar issues as this lady that needs to be reached out to. And that is why I had to step into that space. And up till now, I am still writing then, and I'll continue to be there to create conversations about, about mental health and how important it is to our overall well-being. Dr. Cass.
Thank you, Kunle, for sharing. That is so inspiring that you were able to find a calling, because to me, what you're doing is you are saving lives. You're saving lives because you know what? There are so many men, so many women in different types of industries, mothers, fathers out there that are really struggling, whether, hey, they're going through different types of struggles in their life, or maybe, hey, they went through a divorce, right? Maybe they lost a job, maybe someone lost a child, and they really have no one to really talk to. And they are all by themselves at their homes, in their apartments, and there's a lot of negative self-talks that goes on. And I really love your strategy. I would say, hey, don't ask once, how are you doing? Ask twice, hey, are you sure? How are you doing today? And to me, I see you are changing, our helping our societies, our cultures that, hey, how are you doing? Right? And you help that lady save a life by asking her again, hey, are you sure? Are you fine? Right? Because we always are automated to give the answer, I'm fine, I'm okay. But then if you really do ask it again, are you sure? Then it triggers to answer, okay, hey, no, you know what? This is how I actually feel. Now, I love the way that you're doing. I wanted to find out, what is your vision look like, in the country that you are today, on the impact that you will be making?
Thank you, Machine. Thank you so much. That's wonderful. My vision is to reach out to everyone in the continent of Africa. That's huge. When we want to talk about writing down our vision, we want to streamline it as much as possible. But I have this, Africa as a whole in my mind. The reason is because we have very similar culture, we have similar background, and then we are also plagued by very similar problems. When you talk about leadership problem, when you talk about cultural issues, and so many other political instabilities, and so we are in our own diversity. There is also connection in our diversity. So that's why it's easy when you are reaching out to someone in Nigeria, someone in Ghana, you are almost using the same method, and then you are also reaching out to those, those people in one way or the other. So it's about making Africa mentally healthy, and then making conversations about mental health in Africa become something that everyone is proud to talk about. Because you have so many people in Africa who had seen mental health as a taboo, because they see it as being synonymous to psychiatry, or in their words, it has to do with madness. So when you ask in those days, when you ask an average African, can you talk about your mental health to someone? The answer they will give you is, when I'm not mad, because they feel once somebody comes out to speak about mental health, then they think, the next thing is to take that person to a psychiatric hospital where the person will be isolated. So these are some of the issues that we need to change. There are some of the narratives I am working towards changing. And so far, so good. We have so many people who have come into this space and they are working towards it. And most importantly is the fact that what we do now is now like a platform to create policies by the government, because they are listening, and they are not only doing, they are not only doing that from participatory aspect, but by creating like a foundation that other people can work on, creating mental health policy. And that happened in Nigeria 2 years ago, whereby we were part of a policy changing strategy about mental health, and the policy was passed to law in year 2023, January. So it's something that we are proud of. And that's what I also want to do in different society in Africa.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Kunle, for the work you're doing and the passion, the true calling and the passion with which you do. As you go through this process, you too are human. You too have your challenges. You too have to figure out ways to navigate your challenges. How are you dealing with your circumstances? Because it's not easy. Giving up a lucrative job in the oil and gas industry, getting into this space, doing your calling doesn't necessarily come with a pot of gold right away, right? It's more of a heart wealth as opposed to a monetary wealth. And how are you navigating through this? And what does support to you look like?
Thank you so much, Dr. Cass. That's very profound. And that speaks to what I go through. Because when you follow your passion, it doesn't come, with a pot of gold, like you mentioned. You have the ups, the downs. And sometimes people don't even know the fact that you work in healing people. People don't even know that you also need support yourself. So sometimes when you reach out to maybe other people, you reach out to friends, because that's also important. We need to also show our vulnerabilities. And I also have mine, and I have people I reach out to, whenever I need support in one way or the other. So sometimes some of those things you just have to keep building a network of people who you can easily reach out to. And I can say that categorically, that you are one of those people you can collaborate with, people you can expand, that can help you expand and extend your vision, expand your circle in one way or the other. Because the more you do that, the more you create, that right energy with right people, the more you also improve on yourself, the more you sharpen your own dream as well. Just like that common saying that iron sharpens iron. So that is the thing. I thrive well within, connection that are, like-minded, so it's been helping me a lot in pushing the dream beyond what I even envisaged initially.
Well, that is so beautiful, Kunle. I love it. Iron sharpens another iron. And for individuals, very successful individuals like yourself, with having such a beautiful mission, making Africa mentally healthy, that is super important, right? How many people do I know out there that has this goal, that has this vision? I only know one person, which is Kunle, right? To me, I believe that you are the chosen one. You are the chosen one, right, for this mission. And our support system, our network, why is it so important, right? For us, for you, to spread your message, to share your voice, so you can have more outreach in our communities, in our society. And maybe it will go even beyond Africa. Have you ever thought about going outside Africa?
Thank you so much. Absolutely. I've been part of a not-for-profit in India that I co-founded with a friend of mine. After a while, after running it for 2 years, we got to the advisory board capacity, and then gave like a couple of people to run the organization right in India, because we also saw that India also is plagued, with so many issues ranging from suicide, mental health, stigmatization, and some other things like that. So that's just one of And also my, relationship with Dr. Cass, that's also what we are planning to do beyond, Africa, doing it in Nigeria, doing it in other parts of Africa, as she's also doing in Belize and in the United States. So my life has been based on forming alliances with people within and beyond my shell. So going across Africa, it's also part of what I have been doing. There was a time I had a radio program in the UK that I run on a weekly basis, and it's strictly for mental health. And, in the latter part of this year, I'm looking, and I've also said it, of, creating like a radio station that is 80% mental health content, and it's going to be hybrid. So people from different parts of the world can also listen globally is key to achieving whatever dream we want to do, we want to achieve in our world. And I hold that to a high esteem in my practices.
Thank you so much for that aspirational steps you're taking, Kunle. I love the idea of a radio station dedicated to 80% of this, because we don't always realize the power of our mind over our body, right? When our mind is influencing us, our body goes for the journey. When our mind is not influencing us in a positive way, no matter how much we work on our body, that negativity comes in. Mindset is everything. So thank you so much for focusing on that and driving that initiative. Anything we can do, I am personally here, Marcin and I, we, as part of the Man Show, we are here. And what is coming up for me, Kunle, as you're talking, is you and I started talking about Africa being the most vibrant and rich continent in the world, and yet the most dehumanized, the most taken advantage of, and the most repressed by the people profiting from Africa. Every other continent has somehow figured out a way to come out of it, but for some reason, Africa is still stuck in the place where you're like under the foot of a dinosaur, right? And as we look at what is the right things to do to give Africa a hand up, right? What does it take to pull Africa up? What can those of us who are outside of Africa think, understand, and engage in to make that possible? Because whether we realize it or not, accept it or not, the cradle of human civilization started there. That is all our ancestral roots. And how we treat our root and how we treat where we all came from is truly a reflection of who we are as a humanity.
True, absolutely. And you have said it profoundly about who Africa really is. Africa is made to look poor, in the face of the world, whereas Africa is not poor. In terms of both human resources and natural resources with that great people. And that's even the first thing that I also, I love to address. It's about resourcefulness. So any place you have resourceful people, because it is resourcefulness first before the resources. Anywhere you have resources and you don't have resourcefulness, those resources will be useless. And in Africa, we have resourceful people who go to, the world stage and they perform excellently well. So how come we now act as like the poverty capital in the world, that we get aids from other countries and all the rest? So that means there is a missing link somewhere that needs to be addressed. And that is why people like us need to come together in order to, first and foremost, start that creation of awareness, creating that conversation that people should realize the fact that we are rich, and then we are capable of becoming like, expressing ourselves to the fullest in whatever space that we want to operate within. So it starts with the mindset, like you said, shifting the mind of, African people, starting from the young people now, because the more you have imbibed a particular thing, the more it gets hold on you. And then the more the difficulty in getting that thing off you. So there is a certain generation that have grown with, that gnosis, that notion that, yeah, we are poor people and that's how we're going to live, on and on that way. But we have young people that we need to now start creating a mental shift for, in terms of that conversation, because your mindset is powerful. Like you said, 80% of everything that we will ever become is controlled by our subconscious, things that have been registered there over a period of time. So by the time we start now creating that conversation within the young generation, telling them what to do, and they are now taking responsibility, they are beginning to take the lead. They begin to work for themselves. They begin to see how they can provide what they eat, build a structure, a platform within the community with an organized approach. Then we begin to see that our power, and then the validation of everything that we will become does not lie in the external, environment. Whether the IMF is saying this, whether, other countries are saying this. No, it lies within us. We have to validate it ourselves. This is who we are. This is what we will become. And then we take the bull by the horn, take power into our hands to make it happen, irrespective of whatever odds we are going to come against along the line.
Well, Kunle, very well said. And what really comes to my mind for everything that you have said, 3 things. First thing is breaking generational curses, to break the patterns of what is happening right now. That Africa, the way it's seen from the outside world, that, hey, it's a very poor country. It's not a very poor country, right? This is what we are persuaded to see Africa. US, people that are living in US, people that are living in different continents. Next thing is, how do we do that, right? How do we break those generational curses? We do it by shifting our young generation, our children, their mindset. How do we address it, right? And the third thing is, we teach them with the awareness that, hey, it's okay, right, to express your feelings, to express your emotions, that you don't have to hold on to the negativity, to the blame, to the criticism that we store within us. What will that do to men, to women that are out there? They need to function as mothers, as fathers in this high, fast-paced environment. So I see you as this leader that really, hey, have taken the baton that has been passed on to you. That, hey, this is your vision, this is your goal, this is your mission to help break those generational curses out there. Because if you don't do it, who else will? So thank you for all the work that you do.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
So thank you so much, Kunle. As always, time flies. It's always a deeply meaningful and deeply moving conversation I have with you. And I am so glad that Marcin has joined in. And as we start wrapping this up, I want an opportunity for the audience to find out how to get a hold of you, how they can reach out to you directly, 1. And 2, if there was one thought you want to leave for the audience of the man space, especially men who are struggling to deal with situations and scenarios, but feel that their manhood would be questioned if they lean in and ask for help or share their feelings, what advice would you have for them?
I mean, basically, what I'm going to tell all men who are listening right now is to start beginning to take that responsibility of seeking support whenever they are going through any issue, because it is not weak to speak. That's what the society had really done wrong over a long period of time, when you don't have to show your emotions. You have to man up, you have to mask up. So you have a lot of men in our society who are living in self-denial, masking up their emotions. It is not weak to speak. And then asking for help is not a sign of weakness. Whenever you are having emotional trauma, you're going through those episodes, It is normal. Go out there, seek for personal help, reach out to somebody, reach out to a professional, even the next person sitting to you, because when you onboarding your mind sometimes, it's therapeutic. It helps you a lot. But the fact that you don't speak, that's where the problem lies. For every man listening out there or watching from wherever, ask for help whenever you need one. Asking for help is not a sign of weakness.
Thank you, Kunle. And how can people reach you?
Yeah, thank you. I almost forgot that. People can reach me on all social media platforms. On Instagram at Pelemo Kunle, on Facebook, Twitter, and then most importantly on LinkedIn at Kunle Pelemo. So I'm active on all social media platforms just because I want to create that reach and that visibility that touches everybody.
So thank you very much, Dr. Cass. Thank you, Kunle, for meeting you and for your profound mission. That's why I love doing these podcast recordings, creating this men's space to also show other men out there that we are very gifted, that we are very blessed, that you know what, anything is possible in our life. That we are limitless human beings. What we set our minds to, it can be done, right? The right people will show up, that you will be in the right place and you will find the right time to make it happen. So I really do appreciate you for what you're doing, because the world really do needs you. It really does. Because you know what, even if you save one life every single day, then we will reduce the amount of suicide in Africa. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Kunle. Always a joy to spend time talking to you. Always moved by what you are doing, and truly an honor to be in the same circle. So thank you. Thank you, my friend. It is a joy to kick off the week with you. And Marcin, thank you for always showing up and being that reliable, amazing partner of this man's space to truly bring that male perspective and help men start looking at a different perspective. And as Kunle said to all our audience, it is not weak to speak. Speaking up is actually a courageous thing. Just the same way, loving is not a weakness, kindness is not a weakness, showing emotion is not a weakness. They are human strengths. Embrace it with courage, because it takes a lot of courage to know who you are, know what you need, and then put your hand out and say, you know what? Take my hand because I need that help. And then at the same time, turn around and ask somebody, you know what? I am in a place to help you now. What can I do to help? That is what makes this human experience rich. That is the singular thing that makes this human experience truly, truly meaningful. And we never, ever win alone. We always win together.